Good morning, everyone. I am Wesley Thomas, a member of Muriel's Kitchen's Guest Advisory Board and homeless advocate. From 1988 until 2017, I was homeless for 29 years. In 2017, with the help of Muriel's Kitchen Street Outreach Team, I was able to secure permanent supportive housing. Once housed, I decided that I was going to give back, pay it forward to those still living unhoused on the streets of D.C. So now I dedicate significant time, effort, and energy to ensure that others do not fall into the cycle of chronic homelessness. So I connect them to numerous services throughout the city and housing. Several months ago, I was appointed to participate on the Aston CAT Community Advisory Team, where I utilized my lived experience to offer input moving forward for the greater good. My congratulations to the local community for their continuing support. The Aston Bridge Non-Congregate Shelter is precedent in combating D.C.'s unhoused crisis. So, without further ado, I introduce and welcome to this podium this morning the Mayor of the District of Columbia, Muriel Bowser.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Let's give Wesley a big round of applause. And welcome to the Aston. So I want to thank all of our leaders and partners gathered here today, our staff, the partners in our fight against homelessness and housing D.C. residents. And I want to thank all of the members of the community who helped make this happen. And I especially want to acknowledge your Councilmember Brooke Pinto. Please give Brooke a big round of applause. I also want to give a special shout out to Director Laura Zeilinger. Give Laura a huge round of applause. Laura announced earlier this month that she would be moving on from D.C. government, but I had to say this. Just one day after I was elected mayor in 2014, 10 years ago, I think Laura was one of my first calls. She thought it was a robocall, in fact, so she almost hung up on me. And I know for 10 years she probably wished she had. Because then, 10 years ago, I asked her to leave her post in the Obama administration, where she was on the National Interagency Council on Homelessness, to join our team in D.C. government. And while a lot of people working for the feds or the White House or even President Obama is a great thing, Laura knew that her work was here in D.C., where she would do big things. And while there's still more to do a decade later, I know for sure that we have changed this system and made it better and made it effective so that people experiencing homelessness know that they have a pathway to permanent housing right here in Washington, D.C. The big physical legacy of those 10 years is a transformational one. We promised then to close D.C. General, and we did. And we opened smaller service and bridge centers across all 8 wards. We opened the new 801 shelter for men. We opened the city's first LGBTQ plus shelter. And now we're here at the Aston. The transformation of our shelters is representative of the total transformation of our entire system. By transforming how we support families during a crisis, we have prevented thousands of families from ever entering the system. Laura asked me to do some things early on that I just wasn't quite sure would work. But she laid it out, we made the investments, and they have indeed worked. Through TANF reform and by creating programs like the Career Map, we have found new ways to give parents more agency over their own lives. And we've made it possible for people to ask for help while still progressing through their careers and lives. We have reformed our system so that we can provide services in ways that meet people where they are. And that's what we're doing here at the Aston. This is a new option, more flexibility for getting people into shelter. But this is not just a celebration of a building, let me be clear. It's also about the services that we will provide here. We have one-on-one case management, and I want to recognize Jean-Michael Giraud. Where's Jean-Michael from Friendship Place? Here he is, who will be our operator and is one of our strongest providers in the city. So what we have seen in our family shelters is that when we get people into dignified shelter, we can get them into individualized case management. Then we can get them into permanent housing quickly. And that's what will happen here at the Aston. So I want to thank everyone involved, and I especially want to thank our team at the Department of General Services for the long hours that they put into transforming the Aston. And I want to give, again, my deep, deep appreciation to our team at the Department of Human Services, who do some of the most critical work for our most vulnerable residents. And they do it every day, knowing that that's what we're called on to do in government, to be on the front line and to help people who need it the most. And I'm just deeply proud of Laura and her team for their leadership. Please, once again, acknowledge Director Zallinger. And so with that, I'm going to turn to hear from your council member, and then we'll hear from the DHS team. Councilmember Pinto.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much, Mayor Bowser, for your partnership and your vision into making housing a reality for so many more DC residents. And when I was first running to be your council member, I heard constantly from people who were asking for more opportunities for housing here in Ward 2. Here in Ward 2, I don't know if everybody knows this, we have some of the highest amounts of people experiencing homelessness, and particularly those who were living outside. And in speaking to residents about what they want, what they need, what's going to help provide them with more stable, long-term, sustainable housing options, one of the most consistent pieces of feedback that I and my team hear about is the need for privacy, the need for housing in a non-congregate space where people can get on their feet and get organized and make sure that the case management, job support, and everything else that you need to live a sustainable life is accomplished with that security that housing can provide. And so this model is a new model of bridge housing, which recognizes that we need a transitional option for people as they exit homelessness and move into a more stable housing option. No one group is a monolith, and so there's not going to be one solution that works for everyone. And I am particularly proud of all of the work that has gone into this site, recognizing that human beings need to be treated with that individuality of care, that 24/7 case management, the community building that can happen here in the courtyard we're in the community rooms at every single level of this building. And I want to add my thanks to Director Zeilinger for really leading that effort in many ways with DHS. Thank you so much, Director Zeilinger. We also know that to make a project like this successful in our community, we have to engage a number of community stakeholders. And so years ago, when Mayor Bowser and I started talking about this project and the need for bridge housing to help folks transition and be in a non-congregate setting, we know that we needed to set up a community advisory team to really loop in and learn from the community of stakeholders and learn from their expertise to make sure that this project is successful for everyone who lives in the building and everyone who lives in the surrounding community. And I really want to thank Jim Malik. Where's Jim? Jim Malik and Sakina Thompson, who have led the community advisory team, meeting every month for over a year, thousands of emails, conversations, red lines. And I also want to thank Lynn Groff from my team, who worked diligently, almost daily on this project for the last year to make sure that it could be successful. Thank you so much, Lynn. So I am really excited. I believe that this model can and will work for the residents here who need it, and can and will be an excellent opportunity for everybody in this neighborhood to get involved. And we talk about this courtyard space. Other ways to get involved in a community garden is something we're exploring. Other ways for volunteering efforts. Other ways for employers to think about how they could be part of the solution and offering people jobs who have gotten stabilized. So I continue to invite you all to be a part of this mission. There's a lot of opportunity here, and I know that we can manage this property and the housing needs of the residents here extremely well, and then continue to build on that success throughout the city. So thank you to everybody for being here. Congratulations to all of the new residents, and I'm thrilled that we're welcoming you home just in time for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Wow. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm blown away. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you as well, Councilmember Pinto. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us this morning to celebrate such a monumentous and positive occasion. I would like to also echo the thanks to everybody who worked so diligently to make the Aston a reality. The council member and her staff, the mayor, of course, our partners at DGS, my colleague, Director Hunter, who couldn't join us today, but his team is here and the entire team. Again, Sakina Thompson, but the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, as well as the DHS leadership team, Rachel Pierre, Anthony Newman, Lisa Franklin, and so many of you who are here who I'm not going to name, but you know you've played such a significant role in what we're doing here today. I also would like to acknowledge the passionate advocacy of so many people who fought to really make this project work. Our Commissioner Trupti Patel, Ansi Patel, has been an early, outspoken, and consistent advocate for the Aston Bridge program and its mission. We welcome and look forward to her continued engagement. I'd like to recognize the critically significant work of Commissioner Jim Malik as co-chair of our Aston Community Advisory Team. Commissioner Malik's been instrumental in ensuring the voice of community was heard throughout our Community Advisory Team process, and whose fair and even leadership helped the team reach agreement that we can all be proud of. I also want to acknowledge our valued partners at the Community Partnership for the Prevention of Homeless, Friendship Place, and you're going to hear from Jean-Michel in a moment, Miriam's Kitchen, who provide critical case management, outreach, and supportive services that are central to impacting the lives of people who experience homelessness in Ward 2. It is fitting for me, as I prepare to conclude my tenure in the coming weeks as Director of the Department of Human Services, that we are here together to celebrate the opening of this very special place. Let me tell you why. It's an embodiment of what we're able to do together. And at just about every event like this, I always remind all of us, I know, as somebody who works in government, that we can only do great, big, bold things when we do them together. Government doesn't do anything alone, and we do amazing things all together. And this is just also an example of when we open ourselves to learn, to evolve, and to when we're willing to be bold, we can do amazing things. We have listened to neighbors, housed and unhoused, who told us we need services in this neighborhood. And we worked hard to address the concerns of our skeptics. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we began operating non-congregate shelter by necessity. And not only did we see health protections, but we saw improvements in physical and behavioral health that came with the stability of a different setting, where we've been able to build trust with our community. We're joined by our partners here at Unity Health, who have been telling us this, reminding us, and we're showing us the data throughout that show what the power that stability has as a healthcare intervention. We also saw that when we offer this kind of setting, it is a way of building trust with our community, with the people we try to reach. That folks oftentimes are outside because they are not trusting the environment that they would come into. And seeing that some residents who have opted out of shelter, we saw with our pandemic program that they would come into a non-congregate setting, where there are community agreements in place. So we incorporated those lessons we learned from that program into all that we did as we began our work here at the Aston, and as we repurposed funding, instead of building more congregate shelters, to do more of this non-congregate model. And we also learned that when people access what they need in a setting that recognizes their dignity and their humanity, that is able to serve their whole families and partnerships, the outcomes are better and everybody benefits. So reaching our shared goals of making homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring are attainable when we focus on our entire system. I think the mayor noted gains we've made in our homeless services system for families, and that's a case in point example of what we do when we work on the entire system. And the Aston is an important component of our crisis response system for adults who don't have minor children in our care. Our system improvements span shelter improvements, but also include robust outreach, diversion, as well as solutions to homelessness and connections to permanent housing. We have increased our investments in permanent housing under Mayor Bowser's leadership from just 1,500 in 2015 to over 10,000 now. And for some people, as the council member noted, bridge housing is a crucial intervention in realizing an end to their homelessness, which is what exactly we're going to see right here at this space today. So I am grateful today, this week, where we think about what we're grateful for, Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for the honor of celebrating what we can do when we work together, take a systems approach, live into our values of compassion, care, and recognizing the dignity of our neighbors. And I'm so grateful for the honor to have spent a decade with the most fantastic team, working for a bold leader, our mayor, who've been willing to champion a cause that others shy away from. And I'm also honored today to share this moment with my parents, whose shoulders I stand on. They have nurtured me, they have pushed me when I've needed it, and they're here as well to share in this celebration. So with that, I am pleased to turn over the program to Jean-Michel Girard, who I've also had the honor of working with for quite a long time in our efforts to end homelessness here in Washington, D.C. Jean-Michel.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, and I want to start by thanking Director Zeilinger for the amazing work she has done for us in the last 10 years, building this system which is so person-centric, effective, reaches for solutions, and adds to the resources all the time, engaging the team at DHS. And I also want to thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your bold leadership. In her first term, the mayor decided to go forth with the family facilities, for instance, which are now throughout the city, welcoming family in this very humane way that we like at Friendship Place, and toward housing in a very short period of time. We have made tremendous progress in the city in the last 18 to 20 years, and we have become a model for the rest of the country. We should really take pride in this and be thankful for everything we've been able to accomplish. I'm Jean-Michel Giraud, the President and CEO of Friendship Place. Friendship Place is 33 years old this year, 33 years of reaching out to people on the street, at the Welcome Center, with clinic hours, in housing, of course, rapid rehousing, prevention, and employment. We have specialized programming for families, for veterans, for youth, and we are a very compassionate community, reaching out to people on the street to help them rebuild their lives. This is at the core of our mission. We were delighted to be selected to run the Aston. This is a wonderful facility and a perfect representation of what the city is doing and continues to do in this neighborhood. So I want to thank the mayor again and thank Laura, thank the teams at the Department of Human Services, the Department of General Services, the team at the Community Partnership for the Prevention of Homelessness. You have been really wonderful in helping us develop this program. A lot of work went into it. I want to thank the community advisory team members who are here and the two leaders, Jim and Sakina. Again, thank you so much. And to the neighbors in this neighborhood, thank you for welcoming us into your neighborhood. We are ready to work with you, to invite you into this program. It is truly going to be a community-based program for the neighborhood, helping people who have been homeless around here and beyond rebuild their lives. So thank you for all the work that went into developing the agreement and all the other pieces. We know that the process was long, but we stuck to it and we've made it, which is wonderful. This facility will house up to 100 people who will come to us out in homelessness and exit into housing. Right now we have 25 people already at the Aston and we've only been open 10 days. 7 people are coming for intakes today. Our goal is 50 people by Thanksgiving. So this is really exciting. Thank you. I want to also thank all the members of the Friendship Place community who have come here today to help us celebrate. Our board members, volunteers, participants, and our wonderful staff. Thank you for being here. We have assembled a team of really very skilled, kind, compassionate people to work here at the Aston under the leadership of our new director, Jeremy Jones. So you'll get to, as neighbors, you'll get to know Jeremy. Please reach out to him, share your ideas, your suggestions with him. That's how we work as Friendship Place. We want to hear from you to help us build the practices that we're going to develop here. So thank you again to everybody, and we are thrilled to be here. This is the Aston. It's over the next few years, it's going to help hundreds of people rebuild their lives in this very conducive and supportive environment that really honors people's humanity. Thank you.
Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. All right, we'll take a few questions. Press questions. Yes, ma'am, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Sarah from WAMU. I was wondering if someone could speak to how long they expect the timeline to be for the residents who just moved in to actually get connected with housing. Do you have an estimate for that? I guess that's a question for Director
Laura,
Sander.
do you want to speak to our experience, or John?
Our goal is 90 days. Yeah, we expect most people to be here at least a month, but within 90 days, our goal is that they won't make that transition to permanent housing.
Do you have an update on the shelter capacity by any chance, Director Sander? I know they were quite full earlier this year. I was wondering if this specific shelter opening changes things at all.
So because we're in hypothermia season, we've expanded our capacity. And so we do have space inside for everyone who would like to come inside, and we'll continue to open additional capacity as needed. But of course, spaces like this very much do help us to help people inside who may not opt into some of those other options. But people will come through here through our coordinated entry system. So this is not a low barrier shelter where people walk up, but they will come in through a different pathway that happens with our coordinated assessment and housing process.
Okay. Yes, I see a hand.
Hi, Kate Ryan with WTOP behind the camera
Okay,
operator.
I can hear you.
In terms of the wait that these people have had to get into non-congregate housing, what has their wait been like? And I understand that there will be one-on-one services to help them as they make their transition into this setting and then onto the next setting. What's the ratio like?
Sure, Michael.
The staffing model is, of course, 24/7, right? We're always here, and security is always here. But also it involves very active, proactive case management, which is essential. And our approach, again, is to be person-centric, to put people first, to help people make their own decisions as they rebuild so that they can do that well. And so our model is really conducive to helping people solve their homelessness. We look at all our programming at Friendship Place as solutions to homelessness, and that drives the whole development process for us. Thank you.
What's the ratio for, like, how many people does someone who's assisting these folks serve at a time?
Yes. So typically, we have ratios of about 1 to 17 for case management throughout the system. And so it's a very, I used to be a case manager many moons ago, and that's a very nice ratio typically to work with.
Single or families? I know
So-
the Brooks, for example, is
Yes,
is
so
family.
this is a very innovative, it's really a pilot program, which is great because in the traditional shelter system, we do have to separate families by gender. And here, for the first time, families can stay together and rebuild. And I can't say enough about what that means, because if you imagine a young man of 18 being separated from his mom, maybe, and his sister, and a couple of miles apart, rebuilding becomes very difficult. Here, in this facility, families will stay together, and that's a very important addition to the system.
And to clarify,
And of course, it will be, everybody is over 18, right? We know that. This is not a family facility like the Brooks that we run on Idaho Avenue, where we do welcome much younger children. All right, great.
Hi, this is Michael from the Post. To clarify Sarah's question, is the plan still to move 50 people in initially and then expand from there, or will this be an expansion right off the bat?
We'll move 50 people in initially and then continue to work with the community over 8 weeks, make sure everything is smooth, and then we'll be able to move in the additional 50 people, sorry.
Thanks. And then as far as the lawsuit as well as the zoning appeal taking place with the Aston, is there any concern about a reverse of progress on this initiative considering those are still pending?
I don't know that we can address that right now, Michael, but obviously we're moving forward.
Could you please talk about the costs, the operating costs for the Aston moving forward? What's the annual expectation?
These are some really detailed budget
some
questions.
detailed budget
I feel like we need to have a budget briefing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually don't have the annual operating costs with me now, but we're happy to follow up with you to get you that number.
Yes. Behind you.
To follow up on the lawsuits, Alex at City Paper, obviously there have been several, and now you're here cutting the ribbon on it. I mean, what does it mean to your administration to have been able to persevere despite, I mean, at this point, 3 or 4 lawsuits on this?
Listen, this is my experience with all of the things that we've done to transform the homeless services system. That there's always a lively debate. Right? It's always a lively debate. Sometimes lawsuits, sometimes fights at the council. There's always a lively debate. And I can say in almost every case, the projects get better because of that debate. The services are better because of that debate. And the experiences of our residents are also better. And so it has been our position, as Director Zeilinger has said, to be bold, to go for what we know is best to transform the system and let people come here to get their feet under them, as the council member has said. This is, people coming from situations where they have been living on the street. They need a bridge. They need to be able to take a breath. They need to get their feet up under them. They need to get their health together. And then we can work with them on permanent solutions for housing. So we think that this is a great model. I think it's the first in our system where adult children can be with their parents, where heterosexual couples could be together. I think this is the first time in our system that that's the case. And that's been a missing piece in our system to get people off the street. And so we're going to keep being bold. We made promises 10 years ago to transform the family system. And we know that similar strategies will work for single adults. Yes.
Where do things stand with the E Street shelter that I understand will have a similar model?
E Street. Can you speak to that? I can't go into that right now.
So the owner is completing the work on that, and we'll complete the purchase and expect that we'll be in there within a year, probably sooner than that, but it's still part of our plan, and we're really excited to have a second non-congregate bridge housing that we will open, again, building off of the lessons learned coming out of the pandemic stronger.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.